Caroline Dowd-HIggins. Thanks so much for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. Now, I know that you spend a significant portion of your life at work, so I'm on a mission to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I'm very excited to welcome my special guest to the show, Gorman Newman. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm delighted you're here too. And we've got some mutual friends in common. So I want to give a shout out to Karen Amster Young and Pam Godwin, authors of The 52 Weeks in which you are featured. I was delighted that they introduced us. And I also want to tell our audience all about you. Robin, when you became a mom, it changed your life in ways that you couldn't have imagined. When your son was young and in a play group, you noted that you felt different than moms under the age of 35, and you had more life experience and learned to connect with your peers, where age was an asset and not an issue. So searching for age-appropriate mom groups, you found nothing, and hence Motherhood Later Than Sooner was born. As seen in Time magazine and U.S. News and World Report, your organization has in-person chapters worldwide, an online community, a blog, and you publish Baby Bloomer, the newsletter, and you blog for your site and, of course, Huffington Post. So I'm so excited to dive into a juicy conversation to you. And Robin, you've worn so many hats throughout your career, but it seems to me that you've got a common thread, which is being entrepreneurial and connecting people. So tell me about that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the queen of the groups. I like to consider myself, and people tell me that as well. I'm the kind of person where if I identify a need within myself, I know that I'm never alone. And in different phases of my life, different things have come up for me. When I first started working for myself, for example, and I have a background of over 20 years of public relations experience with different agencies in the city and New York City. And then I left to do my own thing and I launched RGN Communications, my PR practice. And I was working from home in a one bedroom, and my desk was literally my living room table. I didn't even have a chair. I would sit perched on the floor surrounded by piles. And I'm always such a people person. And that was one of the biggest challenges that I found, Carolyn, was, when you decide to go out on your own, especially if you're working from home, it really becomes very solitary. And I looked around for different networking groups, as I always do. I always search first before I reinvent the wheel because I don't want to do that. And I couldn't find any networking groups that were getting together by day. They were all in the evening. And that wasn't my issue because in the evening I was married. My husband would come home. Eventually we had a family. So then my son came home. And I really wanted to force myself to take a break during the day because I was being a workaholic and not enjoying it, not creating time for myself. And I think it's so essential to do that. So the first group that I launched was actually called the Independent Business Women's Circle. It's a networking group for women, and it's still around, and it celebrated its 15-year anniversary recently.
Wow.
And yeah, it's amazing. And I've passed on the helms at this point, so I don't run it anymore, but I'm so gratified to know that it does still exist and that people have made real relationships from it. And that's one of the keys that I think is to networking, is not just to go out and give out your business card and, make the rounds, but to really get to know people and find out what you can do for each other, and not a tit for tat per se situation, because sometimes you need something one day and
Yeah.
someone else might, 2 years from then. And you don't really know, but I always believe what goes around comes around. So if you do good and put it out there, pay it forward, it does come back to you. And so that was the first organization that I launched. And from then I've gone on to actually create a playwriting group in my town because that's one of my interests. I launched Motherhood Later Than Sooner, as you mentioned, which is my organization and blog and newsletter for women who became moms over age 35. And I'm always looking to get involved in other organizations as well, but those are the ones that I created.
So you really are entrepreneurial. And I loved your reference to the city. I'm a native New Yorker myself, so I totally get that. We think New York is the only city on the planet, and I'm okay with that. But yes, for our
Right.
listeners, it is New York City. But
Yes.
I'm fascinated. You are a member of the American Society of Journalists and Authors, and your
Yes.
background is in public relations, and you have a master's in marketing. So do you still do PR work?
I do still do PR work, yes. I mean, a lot of it for a while there, I was focusing on myself, which was
Yeah.
wonderful because when I left the agency world, and my last position was as a VP at a PR firm in New York City. I was there for 4 years. And I wrote my first book, which was How to Meet a Mensch in New York.
Love
And
it.
then later, my other book followed, which was How to Marry a Mensch. And a Mensch is a decent person, for those who don't know.
We speak that language. It's
Oh, okay, good. And it's a good thing to be a mensch. It's very
Oh yeah.
cool. It's come a long way in pop cultural terms since
That's
I
true.
launched the book.
It's had an
People,
evolution. Yeah.
yeah, and people didn't know what it was necessarily when my book first came out, which was kind of fun because I was always explaining it. And I think it led to more press actually for
I
the book
bet. I
because
bet.
people like wanted to know what it was and is it good or not good? And
Right, right.
how do you be one? How do you find one? Where
Right.
are they?
And all the New
So
Yorkers are smiling, saying, "Yeah, we know."
exactly, we get it, exactly. And I was doing all kinds of talks and leading workshops, and when the first book came out, it was actually published by a small New York publisher, and they didn't have a PR person. And they hired somebody, it wasn't me, and I was still working in PR for the firm at that time. And but I wound up leaving to focus on personal pursuits, so I started doing my own PR for my book, and my book got so much more PR than the other books that the publisher had done that they fired that publicist and hired me to
You
do the
created your own
PR.
job.
Yes, for the whole company. So it was the best gig because I got
That's
paid
great.
to do my own PR,
That's awesome.
which was amazing. But it put RGN Communications on the
On the
map.
map. Well
And
done.
from there, I started getting other clients and contacting people I knew through the industry and other clients I'd had at the agency that were no longer there and I still had relationships with. And, one thing led to the next, and it got to the point where I really had a pretty full business. And I probably could have had a PR firm itself, and around that time, we decided to pursue parenthood, and we had some fertility challenges and such. And my mom actually took ill and ultimately passed away. So there was a lot going on a personal level. So I
Sure.
opted not to, create a full-fledged PR firm, but I do continue to practice still from my home. And I love it because I'm a big creative thinker, out of the box, big idea person. I love to brainstorm. I always like to come up with little niches for brands or people or products. And I'm really quite a generalist, so which means that there isn't that much that I haven't done.
Good for
Although
you.
I don't do like medical or pharmaceutical or financial because those are real areas of
Very niche. Yeah.
expertise. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm pretty broad. And now, of course, I'm very plugged into the whole mom demographic because
Yeah. And
motherhood
I want to
later.
dig a little deeper on that, Robin. So,
Yeah.
motherhoodlater.com, right?
Mhm.
I alluded to it a little bit with your bio that you were a mom, first time mom, over 35. But
Yes.
what really led you to launch this organization? And tell me more about the mission and, what's on the horizon. Tell me more about motherhoodlater.com.
Sure. It's an organization for those who became a mom at age 35 plus,
Mhm.
whether for the first time or again, because we do have some who have older and younger kids
Got it.
or who might have gotten divorced or widowed and then remarried. So there's lots of reasons that people
Yeah,
fit the
good point.
bill in that sense. And we have dads too, so it's not exclusively moms.
Okay.
And the mission of it is to connect and inform and empower those who are parenting later in life. Because as you mentioned earlier, one of my favorite quotes is that we view age as an asset, not an issue. And I like that because I do feel like there's some judgment out there, as
Yeah.
common as it is to become a parent later in life. If you're in Hollywood, it's kind of hot stuff, you make headlines.
Mhm.
If you're sitting in the park in your local neighborhood, people might say strange things to you. And part of my impetus and one of the strange things that was said to me was that I was once asked if I'm the mom or the grandmom when
Yeah.
I was with my son, and it was very off-putting to say the least. And I'm
Sure.
not gray, and okay, maybe I don't look 22, but I've never thought I looked like a grandmom. I never really thought about age until I became a mom, and I started to realize that there is a difference. With age comes wisdom and experience, and I'd like to think I don't sweat the small stuff as much.
Mhm.
And I know myself as a person. I have a career behind me that felt good, and I still have aspirations coming up, but I have a history that is gratifying and satisfying to me. And I think that's important because when you reach a place where you decide to parent, you want to really be there fully and present and not feel like you're compromising because you're wishing you were somewhere else or doing something differently or that you feel like you're losing out on other things. And certainly everything has trade offs. But I think the upside to being a later in life mom is that you've lived longer and done more, and hopefully you feel good about that. But that said, I wasn't meeting later in life moms when I was out there doing my thing, and I did start to feel like I was in a different place. And
Mm.
when I looked around, I couldn't find anything that really met those needs, and I was shocked. And I originally launched Motherhood Later just in New York, and the intent was really to be a support group to get together and for moms to connect and families to have opportunities to do things together. And it ran that way for like a year, and it was very successful. And then I connected actually with a gal, Eliza Sherman, who Risdale, who you may know. She worked in the tech area
Yeah.
in New York, and she'd actually since moved to Alaska, of all places. And we had known each other professionally in New York, and then we reconnected, and it turned out that she was now a later in life mom, married in Alaska.
Wow.
And I told her, what I was doing. And she's like, "Oh my God, I need
I
that."
need you.
Yeah, like I'm so glad the universe just stepped in and reconnected us. And so she wound up launching the Alaska chapter
Oh, that's great.
so we had New York and
That's
Alaska.
brilliant. That's
I know, it
brilliant.
was so funny. And then she said, you need to get on the web. Of course, that's your thing. And she was right. So she helped us get settled on the web and created the website. And once you're on the web, it takes on a life of its own. People start to find you. And that coupled with my background in PR, and I also have a master's in marketing, I know how to create buzz and make headlines. So I started spreading the word, and that combined with social media really got us out there. And now we actually have physical chapters where the moms get together all over the world, not even just in the US.
That's great.
It's amazing. And then we have the newsletter and we have
And
bloggers
that's the place
and
to
then of course
start. Y-
online.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was just going to
Yep.
say, so if someone's listening from Alaska or, New York City, the
Mhm.
first place to start is motherhoodlater.com, right? And they can sign up for the newsletter. So
Yes.
you take it from there. What else can they glean from the website?
Well, if there isn't a chapter in their town, then they can start one. And we
Yeah.
invite them to contact me about that. And there is no fee to start one. There's also no fee to join the chapters. The payment is just based on whatever events that people put together and what the actual cost is.
Right.
The goal isn't to have a membership fee. I've thought about that in the past and thought about creating a VIP program and that sort of thing, but we haven't to date. We haven't done that. But through the website, because partly we want it to be accessible to
Yeah.
all people, we do have advertiser support, which is really helpful. So we appreciate that. And we also invite contributions as well if anybody wants to support our efforts. But on the website, there's bloggers. Every month, we profile a different cool later mom or
Mm-hmm.
dad. And sometimes it's celebrities. Last month, we had Brooke Shields.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really fun. And
I
it's an
bet.
interview, and it's an interview they do with us. It's not like a recycled interview.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's original content. So we have that. We have later mom bloggers who write for us, and there's opportunities with that. We don't pay our bloggers, but it's a chance for
It's good
exposure.
exposure. Sure.
Yeah, and you don't need to be experienced. You just need to be a good writer and
Mm-hmm.
enthusiastic. And our regular bloggers write once a week, but we have opportunities to blog less as well. And we also have opportunities for guest bloggers, which would be either an expert or an author or somebody with a strong point of view regarding something that would offer a takeaway to our readers, because we really like to offer tips and wisdom and advice that can help people. And then we do product giveaways. We're also going to be doing a parenting teleseminar, which is going to be coming up this spring, and it's very exciting. Working with somebody named Michelle Laub, and her background is she's very spiritual, and the goal is to take an inspiring, kind of look at yourself sort of approach to parenting, and what do you bring to the table, and how does that impact your child and your parenting style, and
Wow.
the tone of like you as a mom and how you communicate with your child and all kinds of good stuff
Good for
related
you.
to that. So yeah, I'm very excited because we like to share content that and people that I feel strongly about, and we're very discerning who we work with, and we certainly invite experts to contact us as well.
You're really a Renaissance woman because you're a writer, you're an entrepreneur, you're also the associate producer of the play Motherhood Out Loud that had an off-Broadway run
Yes.
and is being performed nationwide. And I'd love to learn more. I know one of the shows that you've appeared in, well, two, Dinner with Friends, and I love you. You're Perfect Now Change, which is one of my favorite all-time shows. But what I'd love to hear from you is tell me about being a love coach for singles. And I'm dying to know more about this. I find this very intriguing. So what is that all about, Robin?
Sure. Well, that's an outgrowth of my books. And I wasn't in those plays per se, just to clarify. I
Oh,
actually
excuse me.
was, oh no, I'd love to be off Broadway. That would be really
In your
fun.
spare time, right?
Yeah, add that to my bucket list. That sounds good to
Well, there you
me.
go. We're wishful thinking.
Yeah, well, we'll put it out there.
Yeah, we'll
'Cause
put it
you
out there.
never know. But I was actually on stage, but not as an actress. They had me during intermission and actually after the show, dishing advice and
Oh,
also doing
fun.
talkbacks with the
Fun.
audience.
Perfect.
And I've been on panels and I've moderated panels, and in fact I did that for Motherhood Out Loud. You mentioned, which was I haven't answered your question and I will, but
Okay.
Motherhood Out Loud is a play that was written by some celebrated novelists and playwrights, and it was like painted a whole picture of motherhood, everything from adoption to parenting your own parent to being a new first time mom and what is that like. And the website is motherhoodoutloud.com. And it was really cool for me because I love theater. One of the other things I do is I blog about theater, which is how I was able to marry my love coaching work with theater, because I always sort of work that in somehow. And Motherhood Out Loud was a way to partner my theatrical love with my mothering demographic. So it was
Perfect.
really cool how that emerged. And the play is now being produced at theaters all over the place, and it's available for production if anybody has interest.
Well
But getting
done.
back to your question about being a love coach, I was doing all kinds of lectures and talks and appearances all over the place. I was at Canyon Ranch and
Uh-huh.
Mohawk Mountain House and Learning Annex in New York. And one of my friends came to one of my talks and she said, "You know, Robin, you're giving out all this advice, but everyone's situation is really unique." And she was so right. And I thought about it and I said, I could lecture till the cows come home, but what your need is different than the person next to you.
Yeah.
Why don't I try to offer some kind of personal service where I get a chance to really work with somebody one on one and give them what they need, gleaned from my experience and the books and the advice that I share there. And but what does that look like? What did that mean? I wasn't even sure what I was saying, Caroline. And what happened was I said, "You know what? I'm just going to put it out there because that's just kind of my philosophy. If you create it, they will come
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it's meant to be." So I was doing a whole bunch of radio interviews because I got a lot of press with my books. I was on CNN and the Today Show. I mean, it was really quite massive and unexpected. It was really embraced more than I thought. And during one of the radio interviews, I just announced, I said, "Hey," and I'm launching a service for singles.
Starting
And
now.
right, right. And here's the information. And I figured if the phone rings, I'll figure it
You'll pick it
out.
up. Yeah.
And that was pretty much what happened. The phone rang and I was like, uh-oh, be careful what you ask for now. What am I doing exactly? And I had to create a whole program, but it was funny because I didn't know what to call myself. I didn't know what it was. I knew what
Yeah.
I wanted to do,
Right.
but I didn't know what the label was. So I started playing around with it. And originally I called myself a personal trainer for your love life
Ah, okay.
because I compared it to going to the gym. How
Yeah.
many people join a gym and don't go?
And don't go.
Right. You get a trainer and it makes you accountable. The other phrase I used was social strategist because that is part of what I do.
Sure.
But then somehow I came up with love coach. I don't even know where. And I really should have trademarked the term because I truly think that I'm the one who originated
Oh, yeah.
that
It's great.
phraseology,
It's a
because the
great.
website is lovecoach.com.
Yeah.
And what I actually do is I work with someone one on one, either in the phone, in person, via email, or Skype,
Mm-hmm.
and I assess their socializing efforts based on history and a questionnaire they fill out. And we sort of discuss where they're at now, what's working, what isn't working, why, and what can we change about it, and where can they go. And I provide them with specifics. I do the homework for someone because what I find is people are busy. People want to focus on the more fun aspect or getting out there or expanding their lives, and to sit there and really figure out what to do if you need to do things differently, but you're not sure what that means.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can really feel daunting. And as I am with PR and the way that I think out of the box, I bring that same skill to my love coaching with singles. And I will actually point them in specific directions and suggest, I think you might want to try this. What about that? Okay, if you're online, let me read your profile and see why
Yeah.
is it working?
How
What
does it
could we
resonate?
do?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let me look at your picture. What's up with that? And who are you choosing? What are your efforts? You say you want to meet somebody, but do you really? Are you acting like that? Because people don't often act the way they actually say. Like they think
Yeah.
they want to get married, but then what is their behavior when they're out there?
Right. So have you had great success with this? Has it been quite a
Yes.
journey? I bet.
Yes, I've had clients go on to get married.
That's cool.
And I haven't gone to any weddings. They don't invite me because I think most of my clients don't want to admit they
Right,
ever
they want
saw
you to
a
be
look.
incognito. Exactly. I did it
So
on my
I'm
own.
kind of like the best kept
The best kept
single
secret.
secret,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh my gosh. Well, Robin, I have such a clear sense of your professional strengths. They're extraordinary, but you seem superhuman. So help me understand. And I mean that as a compliment, but what are your challenges? Because I know that the women, and we have men listening too, want to know, what's real and how do I get to be
Mhm.
like Robin? So what are your challenges?
Oh, wow. I mean, we all have
Yeah,
challenges.
we do.
I get overwhelmed. I'm parenting as well. I have a
Yeah.
son who just turned 12 this
Good
week.
for him.
And
Congratulations.
yeah, and it's tough. I mean, sometimes I'm in the throes of something and really focused on it, and then the phone rings and it's one of his teachers.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, shifting gears and you get distracted. And I find it hard to be home alone so much. And I am very productive, but I love a more creative, energetic vibe.
Yeah.
I play off
You
of
feed
that.
off of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually exploring subletting an office, even if it's just like one day a week,
Yeah.
to go there with my computer and just to break from my routine
Yeah.
here
No, I
and
totally get
to,
that.
yeah, just to, get away from the clutter on my desk. I mean, that's an ongoing challenge is to, I don't lose things, but I tend to pile them up. That's my thing. And it's not, it doesn't keep the flow going.
Yeah.
When you're trying to think out of the box, I mean, that's probably the toughest thing for me is to, because one of the things that I want to try to do is actually write a play.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, and I've started a couple of plays, but you really want to think out of the box big time for that. And I find it hard to get into that head with everything else that I have going on. I'm not good at shutting down and saying, okay, I'm done with this project for now. Let's move on to the next. I take on a lot at one time, and I tend to respond also way too much, I think, to emails sometimes and not prioritize what I need to get done for that day.
So let me ask you, because you are a working mom, a professional mom, right? Who's got an intense career as well as raising a preteen. So, I hate the word balance because I just think it's unattainable, right? But how do you integrate your life? What do you do for you? How do you find that mythical balance between life and career?
Well, I go to the gym. I also
Hmm.
love theater, as I mentioned. So I mean, sometimes I go once a week. If
Hmm.
I'm lucky, that's great. Some weeks I don't. Sometimes I go more than once a week.
Sure.
I mean, that's my passion. I also blog about it, so it's not
Hmm.
completely recreational because I do have to write. But not all plays I see I write about, and even if I do write about it, it's
You
interesting
still
for
love
me
to
because
go. Yeah,
yeah, because I like to analyze what I saw and learn from it, and I'm also there, probably with a friend. So I
that's great.
treasure
Yeah.
close girlfriend time. I think it's
Hmm.
really important to have people you can talk to and just really turn off from technology,
Yeah.
as best you can. I mean, I have my cell phone with me, but I'm not someone who will text while I'm with another person
Yeah.
because I don't think that's cool. And then you're not really in the moment. So
Right.
I
Right.
think that's important. And I love to swim, and I don't swim in the winter, but we have a local pool that opens in summer, and then that I do every day.
Good for you. Good for
Yeah, and that
you.
that clears my head probably more than
Oh, I
anything.
bet. I bet. Robin, you're an inspiration. Tell
Oh,
our listeners how we can follow you online. I mean, you're everywhere, right? You've got the books, you've got the blog, you've got the business. So tell us how
mhm.
we can best find you online.
Sure. My two websites are Motherhood Later, Later.com. The other website is lovecoach.com. Of course, if you just Google Robin Gorman Newman, you'll find all of
You'll find
this
lots of things.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. And my most recent book is How to Marry a Mensch. If you Google that, that will come up as well. And certainly you can find it on Amazon. And I'm on Facebook and Twitter. I recently joined Google Plus, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm trying.
I don't either. So I'll confess that on national radio. I don't either, but I'm trying to figure it out
Yeah,
slowly
there's
but
so much.
surely.
Yep, and I'm on Pinterest too, and I'm not the most active. I find it hard to really be good. I know how to do it all, but to really do it well, it feels like a full-time job. So
Yeah, no, I
it's
get it.
tough.
Managing social media. Well, Robin Gorman
Yep.
Newman, what a joy to have you on. You're a delight. You are a true Renaissance woman. So exciting to hear about all of your great projects. And I've been on your website, it's extraordinary. I would strongly encourage our listeners to check out your great books and resources. And I wish you great success on this wonderful life journey.
Thank you so much. And the same to you, Carolyn. I really appreciate you letting me share my message.
You're so welcome. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. True career and life satisfaction is possible. So it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. I'm Caroline Dowd-HIggins. Take good care.